We played the Grizzlies.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch any of that game really, or just like bits and pieces while you were doing stuff?
Yeah, no, I had it on a few times, but I wasn't fully locked in on it. They're hard to lock in on right now.
Oh yeah, I definitely got to watch them while I'm like watching TikTok or on Instagram or something like that. Like I can't just that's my one thing because it just will piss me off eventually.
Yeah, because even without Embiid and Paul George, they're just not playing good fundamental basketball right now.
I forget who was talking about it. It was probably Nick Nurse, probably in a post game interview, was talking about like you're forcing guys to get in, I guess, positions that they're not used to playing. Like you're asking role players to like give you more than 15 points, or just do whatever more on both ends. They
Mhm.
probably haven't been asked to do that in their recent teams, especially like Caleb Martin was a role player. Yabu is coming from overseas. Andre Drummond was okay center with the Bulls, but the Bulls weren't doing anything, so they weren't asking too much out of him.
Nice.
It's just a lot of like Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry. It's just a lot of guys in different roles, different positions. I don't know how long we'll have of saying that we're still meshing the team together, but last night was another loss, but it didn't look as bad as like the other ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It did at times. There were stretches of that game where it looked like once they swarm Maxi, there's
Mm-hmm.
really no place for them to go with the ball. There was really points in that game where it was like, man, there's no offensive flow because they're taking Maxi away and he's swinging the ball. Now it's in Kelly Oubre's hand.
Yeah,
What's Kelly Oubre going to do? Facilitate the pick and roll? No.
yeah, like we were talking about it last night. You were making the observation of the coaching staff telling Maxi, it's like, hey, you've been chucking it up a lot there. Like we're okay with the amount of, or like we're okay with the shot attempts, but just like overall, let's take a little bit less this game. Let's try to facilitate a little bit more. Like we were talking about beforehand with like doing more driving kick stuff. But as he was driving and kicking, you see Caleb Martin like getting involved in the offense and not he was producing, but just like not efficiently as like a starter.
No,
Same
yeah,
thing with Kelly
like,
Oubre, Eric Gordon. Yeah, so
yeah. They're producing like role players,
right.
which is hard, but you're asking so much out of them right now. Completely justified. You hope that even if Embiid's going to be out a little longer, that Paul George gets back. I feel like with Paul George's scoring, it'll look a lot better.
Yeah,
Maxey will have a legitimate second option to give the ball to. I like a lot of the players on the Sixers, but there's a reason the players
right.
asking Martin, Kelly Oubre, and all these guys to score all these points just because we need it because the other guys are out isn't going to work.
Right. I'm not glad that we're losing, but you got to look at the positives when we have 4 or 5 losses, whatever it is now, of just we're gaining time on the floor. We understand what losing looks like together, and we understand of like going back into the locker room or wherever we're going and revisiting the film and just like, okay, when this happens again, we can continue to work on it. So, it's like inevitable, obviously, for them to get hurt and beaten George. So when times like this happen, this is a good way to start the season. It's like there's no better time than the beginning of the season in October and November to really like get this down, understand what that means, and just like for the coaching staff specifically too, of just trying different opportunities of like, okay, well, when they do go out, this is how we can run it, or this is what we can do to produce some good offense or good defense, and these are the type of rotations that we should look to do. So it's a lot of game planning and trying to just like figure it out for are people that are are going to get hurt eventually. So I don't hate it too much. Obviously, you would want to see your home team win. Like the specifics with basketball aside, you just want to see them win. But other than that, it's not really much you can be too mad about because it's not like our Kelly Oubre is the second best player on the team right now, which is saying a lot. So we can't really do too much or like think too much of the Sixers right now until our guys come back.
No, I'm not in overreacting mode. I just hope the opposite doesn't happen. We play so poorly without them too that during the season when they get hurt, like the team almost just mentally, I don't want to say checks out, but there's just that mental thing in the back of their head, like, damn, Embiid and George aren't here. It looks like we just got to go out there and take this L.
Yeah, I feel like because it's a lot of new guys, they're kind of it was really important for them in the beginning of the season to like when they had that trip to go to the Bahamas and just like have their regular outings that they do to do team chemistry. Also, with the addition of having Embiid and Paul George like sitting sideline at most of the games, if not all of them, they're trying to build some type of culture to understand like y'all got to buy in. So let's just try to figure that aspect out so we know that we can buy in as a team so when somebody does go down we can still produce and go back to the drawing board with whatever we have to do and just hope that there's going to be no injuries.
Yeah, no, that's best case scenario that they
Yeah.
just get the synergy together while the two big guys are out.
Yeah. Just one last thing we can talk about with Jared McCain. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 50% from the field, 2 for 6 from three.
The lone bright spot. There was, a good amount of that came late in the game in garbage time, but hey man, that's when rookies got to get in there and shine. That's when you get your first minutes in the NBA. You know, most guys aren't Victor Wembanyama where it's like, hey, welcome to the league. Here's the ball. You're the number one option on this team.
Yeah,
Garbage time minutes and shining in those minutes and showing the coaching staff what you can do, and then you eventually get adopted into bigger roles in the offense. So
right.
loved what I saw. He had a good, I think it was 3 or 4 possession stretch in that game where I think he went down and got 3 straight buckets, and they really showcased all the different things he can do.
Yeah.
You know, you get a tough finish at the bucket, you get a nice mid range pull at one point. Like he really does have a bag on him.
Yeah, it's like watching his game, I love that. I'm sure the vets on the team and the coaching staff are like influencing him to shoot a little bit more cuz he's kind of hesitant on a lot of shots, and maybe it's just because of the run in the offense, which is understandable, but a lot of the shots were like he's coming down and like immediate pull up. It's like I would like to see that more, maybe just like for these games. Obviously it doesn't matter right now, if he can just come down and just practice a few of those, because that is what's going to realistically help us in some situations when he does come off the bench. Obviously I know that people are hurt, but I'm just surprised that Nick Nurse is actually putting him in the rotation like this and still giving him like a couple minutes here and there throughout the entire game, and then like most of the, or like if not more than half of the fourth quarter if it's not a close game. So it's good to see him produce, and I'm glad that he's progressing. This is what I was talking about from the beginning of like, you got to show me. So that was definitely like a show me type performance, regardless if he shot. He was still 50% from the field, which you can't ask anymore,
Yeah.
which is really good. But just continue to build his confidence on his shot, because if that's what he's coming in for, I'd rather not see him drive, you know, 10 times a game and make less than half, because that seems like what he results to is that the shot clock is winding down and he doesn't have enough space to put up a shot, and he just received the ball back after passing it again. 10 seconds on the shot clock, he's going to drive it into the paint, run into the center's chest, and then most likely miss it 9 out of 10 times. I would just like him to be more confident with his shot, so he doesn't always have to result in going into the lane, because you're probably the last person, with your height being probably the shortest person on the team, that I want to see drive into the lane the majority of the time. Like, leave that for Maxi.
The other smallest guy on the team.
Right. But has a lot more finishing
Yeah.
attributes around him that is okay.
Although McCain, I think with time, I think McCain will become a very good finisher at the rim. You can already see the little things in his game that'll help going forward. Like he's very good at adjusting when he gets in the paint. Somebody bigger is in the paint.
Right.
But as of right now, no, he shouldn't be driving the ball as much as he was.
Yeah, I
Um,
like the other day I was watching a clip. He was like, if you're 6 foot 6'1", like you gotta make sure that you can shoot, you're good on defense, and you're like picking up guys full court. And you're just like a great communicator. And obviously with his game, rookie, so I don't expect much of him, but his defense is going to just have to be better too. He's just going to have to get quicker feet. He's quick, but he's like not as quick. And yes, John Morant is extremely fast, if not one of the fastest guards in the league, but just like all his matchups, he's getting beat off the first step on almost everybody he guards. So maybe just developing into a better defender, or like dropping a little bit on your non-shooters like a John Morant. But it's just things that he's going to have to work on regardless. I don't expect him to be a lockdown defender in his first even 4 years in the NBA. So that's
yeah, I
something
don't
he's just going to develop into.
ever expect him to be a lockdown defender, but a competent one. He
Yeah,
needs to become, because, like you said, John Morant's not a good measuring stick
yeah,
because nobody can stay in front of John Morant. But on the other hand, Jared McCain can't seem to stay in front of anybody.
right, right. So yeah, no, I think this was another loss, which sucks to look at, but there was a lot of good things to look at in terms of our rookie, and then just like a different view of how we can see the game outside of a casual fan, understanding that the coaching staff is working to try to make some adjustments in what they're going to do with their offense and defense. So I
Right.
can't be too mad at the game. Yes, it was a loss, but we'll continue.
No, no. My expectations are always low when Embiid's out.
Yeah.
Paul George, maybe there'd be a little more confidence there, but with both of them out, like you said, I'm looking for the little things to start to get better.
Yeah, that is the last thing I want to talk about. Is Joel reported from Shams shoving Marcus Hayes in the locker room after, because of that article. That was wild to watch, because obviously it was reported that he punched him. So we can't really go off of the first initial word, but obviously there was some type of altercation that came into it, and it's something that the media is going to latch on, and we're not trying to bring it up in the sense of, isn't that crazy that that happened, because it's not crazy if you know the background of it, but it's just going to be the story centered around the Sixers. It's just going to be even worse now because of Joel stuff, Paul George stuff, and then now this on top of Joel. So it's just, media are having a field day with the Sixers, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they're definitely making their rounds. And you could see it a couple days ago getting to Embiid, the way he, before physically and actually lashing out at them during the media session
Right.
and just saying, how much he's done for this city. He doesn't feel he needs to be treated this way. I agree with him. Watched that man play through that playoff series last year, half broken,
Hmm.
and he gave it his all. And now we're getting on him for missing what are we 5 games into the season?
Yeah.
Point getting on him about that. And as far as the Marcus Hayes thing, completely justified. If he'd have punched him, he'd have been justified. You bring up my late brother and my son to make a point about basketball.
Right.
Like, nah, go ahead somewhere. You got to see me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's crazy.
Honestly, I think that's everything. I don't feel like there's really any point of talking about what the Eagles are going to do today. It just seems like it's going to be a win against the Jaguars. I don't really see anything happening. They had a good game against the Bengals, came back, destroyed them, won the past 2 games I think before that. So we're on a nice little streak that we can hope to continue, and hopefully we don't jinx it against them losing against the Jaguars. But I highly doubt that. But
Yeah, I doubt it too. I think they carry that momentum into a game against a team that's not very good. Trevor Lawrence has been playing well the last few weeks. He's really turned up his game, but I don't know. They haven't won all those games.
right.
They lose in spite of him sometimes. They were losing with him for a while there. Now they're losing in spite of him. So they're still
Right.
losing. A very good team. Eagles are on a roll. I see the Eagles winning by at least 10.
Score prediction 47-7.
47. Damn. I'll give them. I'll give them 38. I'll say 38-17. Garbage time for the Jaguars. It won't be that close.
I'm about to put a lay in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do parlays for football.
As long as they get that first quarter squared away, they don't seem to be able to do much in the first quarter offensively, and then quarters 2 through 4, they're one of the best. They're probably the best offense in football in the last 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's definitely seemed like that from the past few games of what I noticed. But